Remember how I showed you how to solve for x and y simultaneously using the elimination method?
Okay.
Now I'm going to show you how to solve for x and y simultaneously using the substitution method given similar equations. Similarly to the elimination method, the first step is to label both your equations. So let's label this one the first equation and then label this one as our second equation. In contrast to the elimination method, the substitution method actually requires you to choose one equation, and then from that chosen equation, you either make x or y the subject of the formula.
Nice.
In this case, let us just choose the second equation. Let's write it down. We've written down our chosen equation, which is the second equation. And then from this given equation that we've chosen, we can either make x or y the subject of the formula. In this case, let us maybe make x the subject of the formula. In order to make x the subject of the formula, we have to transpose 4y to the right hand side. So let us write down this equation. We're gonna have 5x is equals to, so on the right we have 64. So we're gonna transpose this 4y to the right hand side. It's positive, it's going to be negative 4y. Must remember that we are making x the subject of the formula, not 5x. So in order for us to make x the subject of the formula, in this case we need to divide by 5 so that this 5 can cancel out with this 5. Remember that what you do on the left, you must also do on the right. So on the right, we also divide by 5. So we'll have x as equals to 64 minus 4y, all divided by 5. This is not actually the value of x.
Okay.
This will be our third equation. Ever since we chose the second equation to make x the subject of the formula, we now need, or we are obligated to take equation 1 and substitute the third equation on it. So we need to write down equation 1. This is our equation 1. So on the first equation here, we need to substitute equation 3 on equation 1. In other words, where there's x, we need to put the 64 minus 4y over 5. Let us write down our equation. So we're gonna have 3, and then you see there's x, we put the 64 minus 4y over 5. We open a bracket and then we write 64 minus 4y over 5. We close the bracket and we say this is plus 2y is equals to 36. And then we're just going to transpose this 3 and multiply with the numerators within the bracket. Basically, we'll say 3 multiplied by 64 and 3 multiplied by negative 4y. 3 multiplied by 64 will give us 192, and then 3 multiplied by negative 4y will basically give us negative 12y. We still divide by the same denominator, which is 5, and then we have plus 2y. So 2y is the same as 2y over 1 is equals to, and then we have 36, which is the same as 36 over 1. We just need to get rid of these denominators. We have 5, 1, and 1. So we can write down our denominators. We have 5 and 1. So we basically need to figure out our lowest common multiple between 5 and 1, which is basically 5, right? So the lowest common multiple between 5 and 1 is 5. And then we're just going to take this lowest common multiple and multiply it with each of these terms. We have the first term here. We are going to multiply it by 5. We have the second term here. We are going to multiply it by 5. We have our third term here, which we are also going to multiply by 5. Let's multiply each of these by 5. We said 5 multiplied by this first term, then we say 5 multiplied by our second term, and then we said 5 multiplied by our third term. This 5 here will cancel out with this 5, and then we'll be left with this, which is 192 minus 12y, and then we're gonna say plus 5 multiplied by 2y. That will basically give us 10y, is equals to 5 multiplied by 36, basically give us 180. And then what we can do next is to group the like terms. So we can see that both negative 12y and 10y are our first like terms. They're already grouped. So we need to also group this 192 and 180 because they're both like terms. So we're going to transpose this 192 to the right hand side. So we have negative 12y plus 10y, which will basically give us negative 2y as equals to, on the right we have 180. We're gonna do what? If we transpose this 192, since it's positive, it's going to be negative 192, right? So we'll be left with negative 2y is equals to 180 minus 192 will basically give us negative 12. Since we're looking for the value of y here, I'm going to divide by negative 12 on both sides.
You get it?
So this negative 2 will cancel with negative 2, and then the value of y will be equals to, so negative 12 over 2, so remember we divided by negative 2, will give us positive 6.
If you don't get it, forget about it.
This will be our value of y. Remember, but we're actually required to solve simultaneously for both x and y. So we still need to figure out the value of x since we found the value of y.
Okay.
To do that, we don't need to do all this hassle. We just have to select our third equation. Why? Is because of our third equation, x is already the subject of the formula.
Nice.
So it will be easy for us to just figure out the value of x by just substituting the value of y here. So let's write down our third equation right over here. Our third equation, x is equals to 64 minus 4y divided by 5. So x will be equals to 64 minus 4, open brackets, where there's y we put 6. So we're going to put 6 here. We divide this by 5. So x will be equals to 64 minus 4 times 6 will basically give us 24. Then we divide this by 5. So x will be equals to 64 minus 24 will give us 40 divided by 5. And then meaning our value of x, when you divide 40 by 5, it will actually give us 8. Remember that we actually found the same value of y and x using different methods. So this was the elimination method where we got the value of y as 6 and the value of x as 8. Similarly, when we use the substitution method, we found y as 6 and x as 8.
Oh my